Hey everybody, I'm back with another pickup video, and it's been a while. Sorry, haven't been busy lately. It's summertime, kids are out of school, things like that, work's busy. But I've got a lot to show you. Some of this from a while back. I haven't really been finding a ton lately, but let's just get into it. Alright, first off, I got Jimmy Kreitzer, who's in the St. Louis Retro Gamers group. He was moving, and he ended up selling off most of his collection. So I went over there and ended up buying a few things off of him. The first thing I got is this, a sealed Aladdin deck enhancer for the NES. And then I actually got every single game ever made for the Aladdin deck enhancer sealed. So Quattro Adventure, which I have on NES regular card as well. Well, not regular, it's a generic card, the gold card. Linus Spacehead, Cosmic Crusade. Quattro Sports. The Fantastic Adventures of Dizzy. And actually there's a Dizzy game that comes with the Aladdin deck enhancer. Big Nose Freaks Out. And Micro Machines, which I also have on an NES card. Then also, I ended up getting that one trip, and then my buddy Martin was going back to buy some more stuff, and I told him to pick this up for me. And it's a technically a reproduction, but this was never released in the United States, and that's Adventure Island 4 on NES, which is super fun. Really cool game by Hudson Soft, just never made it stateside, so people have done repros of it, so I picked that up. I got all that for a very good price. Then I went to a garage sale that one of the guys in St. Louis Retro Gamers group was doing, and I picked up a few games from him. I don't remember how much I spent, maybe about 40 or 50 bucks total, but I got SNES Dr. Franken, which is a fun game. The Miracle Piano cart. I don't have the keyboard yet, but I got the cart now. A complete in-box copy of one of my favorite arcade games and NES games, Rolling Thunder, so I have an extra copy of that now. And then the big one I got from him, one that I never ever see, Dragon Warrior 2. So quite a few NES games to add to the collection today. And then additionally I went to AliExpress to look at their reproduction stuff. It's a Chinese website. And they have a lot of reproductions of games on there. They have reproductions of games that were released in North America, things like Little Simpsons, DuckTales 2, things like that. I'm not going to buy that kind of stuff. But this game that I got, which has no label, because the guy that apparently made it in China decided he didn't want to put a label on it, so he gave me like a couple bucks refund back. But it's an empty label cart. I got to get a label for it. But it's Hammer and Harry. It was released, I believe, in Europe and Japan, but never made a stateside release. So I wanted to pick it up. It's a really cool game. It reminds me of another game, and I cannot for the life of me place what other game it reminds me of. But it's a very fun game so far. Really, really tough, though. And that's probably why it never got a release in the United States, because they just thought we couldn't handle that kind of game in the United States. But really fun. Check it out if you get a chance. I'm sure there's a ROM out there of it. I know there's a ROM out there of it. So check that out. But, you know, it doesn't do a lot of good to me showing you this. I can write Hammer and Harry on it, I guess. But I'm going to get a label for it at some point. Alright. Then I actually don't really remember where I got most of these games. I know a couple of them were probably a garage sale. I think one was a pickup. But nonetheless, just go through them really quick. They're just PlayStation 2 games. Really, really good kind of stealth action game. Winback. I think it's better on the Nintendo 64, but the PlayStation 2 version obviously has superior graphics. That says I got it for $1. I know that was a garage sale. Then I got a few games in a lot with something else I'll show you in a minute. I got World Championship Poker, nothing to write home about. SSX3, which is one of the best snowboarding games you'll find. And SSX Tricky. That's really hard to say. Got that. And then in that same lot, this is the reason I kind of bought it, even though I kind of got ripped off a little bit. I got a boxed PS2 system. It's got one generic controller and the fat PS2 with a memory card and cables and stuff. So it doesn't have the cardboard inserts to hold everything in place. But originally this lot had a game called Klonoa 2 in it, which is a pricey game, and they only wanted like 30 bucks for this lot, and that game goes for about 25. So I went and picked it up. I've already got a box PS2 or a box 4 PS2 system, so I really didn't need that. I was going for the Klonoa 2, and I get there, and she's like, "Oh, well, that must have sold at our garage." So likely story, 25 bucks, still not too bad for that lot. So anyway, that's the way it goes. Also got at a garage sale Super Monkey Ball Blitz, Banana Blitz for Wii. Jack 2 for PlayStation 2. That's going to be a giveaway at some point on my channel. Blitz the League for PlayStation 2, which I can't believe that was a red label greatest hits. It's kind of weird. Barnyard for PlayStation 2. I'm pretty sure I just kind of said, hey, there's just a lot of games, I'll give you this much for it. And that came with it. And SpongeBob SquarePants Lights Camera Pants. Oh, sorry, I had to reach back here because I just remember I had one back here. And then Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal. I think I only paid like 8 bucks for all of those altogether, which is not a bad deal. Then at the flea market, I picked up Missile Defense 3D from one of my favorite sellers. Really good guy, brings out Master System stuff occasionally. Gives me decent prices. I think this was like 5 bucks, which is about what it's worth, but I don't think I had it. Maybe I do. Maybe I'll give it away or something at some point. Then at Goodwill. Shocker, I found something at Goodwill recently. Kid Chameleon. And if you can see the price tag, it said 15 bucks. This is complete. I didn't get 15 bucks for it though. I had seen it earlier in the week and I passed on it for 15 bucks because that's pretty close to retail. And I hate paying retail for anything. I think most of you know that. Most of you probably are the same way. But they had a media day on Saturday. So my buddy Martin said, hey, they're having media day. Maybe I'll go over there and look and see if that Kid Chameleon's still there. Maybe I'll grab it. And I was like, well, go ahead because I doubt it's still there. So later on he said he wasn't going. So I happened to be up in the area and I just dropped in and lo and behold, it's still there. So I got it for $7.50, which is not bad. Goodwill used to charge $3 for all games. Now they're pricing them more accordingly. But on media day you can get it for half price. So $7.50 for Kid Chameleon. Genesis game I did not have. Pretty awesome. Then I picked up at a yard sale for $2 Soul Calibur 5. Didn't have this one, picked it up. I'm a big fan of the original Soul Calibur on Dreamcast. It was one of the first games I got on Dreamcast, and I thought it was one of the best fighters ever. I still think that it's my favorite fighter of all time by a long shot, really. I like Street Fighters and Mortal Kombat and that, but Soul Calibur was absolutely amazing. Then I got a deal, and there's actually 2 games. I don't have the other one here. On Best Buy, I had a sale on some PS4 games, so I picked up Bloodborne on PS4, and I also picked up Until Dawn, which I beat. It's really awesome. I would highly recommend that game. Really, really cool game. I need to play it again, though. And then at GameStop, and you guys might want to check out your GameStops. Obviously, your mileage may vary on this, but they had this, and it was brand new, but they had it marked as pre-owned. I guess they were clearing out stock. And I didn't have it, and I had seen it before, and I kind of wanted it, but the price was a little high, and I think I paid $13.49 for this. It was $15 plus my gamers rewards, whatever they call it, on there. So it was $13.49, and that's the amiibo version of Chibi Robo Ziplash for Nintendo 3DS. So this is sealed. I'll probably leave it that way because I think the amiibo is really awesome, and it's a cool like big box version of it. $13.49, I wasn't passing that up, that's for sure. Alright, then another day at the flea market, I saw this laying on a table, so I go over there, and I know it's a Game Gear case. So I go over there and I open it up, and lo and behold, there's a Game Gear, and there was actually a couple games in here. My kids have been in here apparently, but it's the blue original Game Gear, which it came in blue and black originally, with the insert to the case, which is really hard to find. And then it came with Sonic Chaos, and I believe it came with like a World Series baseball game, which is obviously not in here now. But I think I paid $5 for this, or $8 or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but I know it was under $10 for sure, so it was well worth it. Even though I don't really need another Game Gear, but I didn't have a blue one, and I think the blue is kind of cool, so I grabbed it. Then, this is the big thing. I've had this for a while, and you guys may have seen it sitting right back here on my shelf in previous videos. But I was on Nintendo Trade and Collectors on Facebook, a group I go in sometimes. I don't buy much off of there, but I go in there sometimes, and a guy posted this, and he said he was looking for, you know, $200 are, you know, like trade for Game Boy stuff. So for me, Game Boy stuff is kind of expendable for the most part. There's a few games that I absolutely won't let go of. I won't let go of my original DMG Game Boy. I won't let go of my Game Boy Color because I bought that when I was like 16 years old or 17 years old with my own money, and I bought it to play Zelda Link's Awakening DX. And that's a game I won't get rid of. So there's a few games I won't get rid of on that collection. But the other stuff's pretty expendable for me. So I was like, well, you know, here's all the stuff I have. And he said the stuff he was interested in. And I said, okay, how about you take that stuff and I'll pay you $100 and we call it even. I'll ship to you, you ship to me, and we'll be good. He accepted. We worked out the trade, and it was epically hard through Nintendo Trade and Collectors, but we got it done. And I am the proud owner of a PC FX now. You may not know what this is. I would recommend, if you don't know what this is, check out the GameSack video on this system. They did a whole video devoted to this system, but this was only released in Japan, and it is technically the direct follow-up to the TurboGrafx 16. There was a thing called the Super Graphics in between the two, but the Super Graphics only had 6 games released for it and was backwards compatible with the TurboGrafx library, so it was basically just a kind of a souped-up TG16, or PC Engine, of course. PC Engine is what the TurboGrafx 16 was called in Japan. But this was the follow-up to it. Now the thing about this was a failure. It was a failure. It was out to compete directly with the Saturn and the PS1. But it didn't really have the power of those. It mostly focused on 2D games when we were jumping into the 3D era, so it kind of got overlooked. So for one thing, these things are really hard to find. They only sold about 100,000 of these things. So to get one for $100 plus some trade was a great deal. It also came with one game, which is in Japanese, and it's a dating sim, which this is kind of known for dating sim and hentai games, which I have no interest in the hentai games. The dating sims, I can't read Japanese. There are some translations online, and it'll play burned disc, so I can play the entire library if I want to. But I have downloaded some, but then the burner on my MacBook is not cooperating with me, so at some point I'll have to pull out my old PC and burn some discs to play this. But really cool. It has some good games on it. If you watch the GameTech video, they go through, like, I believe Pia Carrot is one of the games, and it's a dating sim, but there's a translation for it. Then there's a shooter on it, which there was only one shooter on this system. And the TurboGrafx 16 was the shooter system, so that was very shocking, honestly. But I was really happy to get this. It's a really cool thing to have. I actually have it sitting down here on my floor, and it's looks like a PC tower that's about this big. You know, not too big. But if you can see, there's the picture of it right there. And it came with a controller and the cables, and like I said, the game. No manuals or anything, but that's not a big deal because they'd be in Japanese anyway. But that was really awesome to get. I'm very happy with that purchase. Alright, so that's all the games I can remember that I bought. I probably a couple more laying around here somewhere. But I also got some albums. And I got a lot of albums, so I'm going to go through them pretty quickly. And actually, I'm not even going to show you them all. My mother-in-law actually, my turntable had broken recently. And my mother and father-in-law said, well, hey, we have an old turntable. Well, it ended up being a Technics turntable, which is awesome. It's an SL30. Which is not like a desired Technics turntable, but it's much better than what I was using. So I got that, put a new belt on it, got a power cord for it, and she gave me a whole box of albums, which is really cool. And I'm just going to show you a few of those out of that box, and then some of the other stuff I picked up over time, which there's one over there on top of my record player that I was playing. But anyway, here's the albums I got. Rod Stewart. Every picture tells a story. You can see that's my mother-in-law's name written on here. She must have carried her albums around with her. That's one I got from her. Then here's one I picked up at the flea market last weekend. Heart, Dreamboat Annie. This is a terrific album, guys. It's awesome. I love Heart. I mean, just so good. This is so good. I would highly recommend picking this up. Just really awesome, cool. The Wilson sisters are amazing. Ann and Nancy Wilson. She's an amazing guitar player as well. One of the, not just the best female guitar player I've ever heard, but one of the best guitar players I've ever heard. Definitely check this out if you get a chance. Magic Man's on here. Crazy on You. Really awesome record there. I was really happy to get that. I think I paid $2.50 for it. This was out of my mother-in-law's albums. The Beatles, Hard Day's Night. Obviously, this is a movie soundtrack technically, but there's Beatles songs on it. Some good stuff on here. Hard Day's Night, of course, is on here. And let's see, what's the other? Oh, Can't Buy Me Love, also on here. So, good stuff. Now, this is a new pressing of an old album, and it's not what you're going to typically see me picking up, but this is a very important album in history, in my opinion. And that's NWA, Straight Outta Compton. This is a repressing from 2013. It's on a heavier vinyl. I don't think it's 180, but it's a heavier vinyl. Sounds great. I can't really listen to it around my kids, though. But this is a very important album in history. You may or may not like rap, but this is a great album nonetheless. Then with that one, they were doing a buy two get one free sale. I also picked up Fleetwood Mac. It's their self-titled album, just Fleetwood Mac. Really awesome. Landslides on here. That's one of my favorite Fleetwood Mac songs. Then the flea market, I picked up a few albums. I think they were $2 a piece. Supertramp. What is this? Breakfast in America. Good album. Foreigner. Double Vision. It's a good album if you like Foreigner. Not everybody does. Another Foreigner album, which is, I don't even know what this one is. This one's, I think it's just their self-titled album, maybe? Yeah, it's just self-titled. Foreigner. Then Kansas, Point of No Return. Another one from my mother-in-law's collection, which I was very happy to have. Cat Stevens, Teaser and the Firecat. Peace Train is on here. That's a really great song. If you haven't seen the movie Rock the Casbah with Bill Murray, I'd recommend check that out if you're a Cat Stevens fan. It's a lot of his music, and they're sung by a very talented Afghan woman. At least she plays an Afghan woman in the movie. Then this was my free one I got with the deal there, and that's Phil Collins, No Jacket Required. It's a great album. I know my buddy Bob said this is the only album worth having from Phil Collins. I don't know if I agree with that. I like a lot of his stuff, but this one is definitely top notch. Definitely top notch. And then another one I picked up from the flea market. Nothing special here. Rick Springfield, Working Class Dog. It's Rick Springfield. Jesse's Girl's on here. That's really the class of it. But Springfield's pretty good. Rick Springfield's pretty good. Let me grab this one more that I got at the flea market. Alright, the other one I got for $2.50 at the flea market was Blondie, Parallel Lines. It's a great album. Really is. And I didn't know much of Blondie beyond like Heart of Glass, but I listened to at least the one side of this album that Heart of Glass is on, and it's really, really good in my opinion. So I was glad to have picked that up. Excellent album. Alright guys, that's all I got this time. Thanks for watching. Sorry it probably got a little long there, but I haven't done one of these in a while. And not going to do a contest this time, but next video, tune in. Next pickup video, I'll do a contest. Don't know when that's going to be, but I'll certainly be giving away maybe some of those PS2 games that I picked up that I already have. Nonetheless, like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you next time.